What up, people? Push Wild Black here with Push Wild Black Sports. This is my NBA pretty much aftermath vlog, and this was going to be done Friday, but I had something to do, so couldn't get it in Friday. So the biggest trade wasn't during the trade deadline. It was that Sunday when DeMarcus Cousins got traded from Sacramento to New Orleans. I actually saw his debut game against Houston. That really wasn't a parameter of what the Pelicans are going to be with DeMarcus Cousins. It was close the first half. DeMarcus did have a couple of. You can kind of see what they're trying to do. You can try to see what they're gonna do. Like, he's gonna be in the post. He's gonna be in the middle, and but Houston is a way better team, and they got blown out. So you can see glimpses, but it'll take a couple of games. It wasn't really, the offense wasn't really fluid. So it's gonna take a couple of times. It's gonna take a couple of games rather for them to actually like meld. But I do like the trade. DeMarcus Cousins needed to get out of Sacramento. They needed him out of Sacramento. They really didn't give much to. They really didn't give much. New Orleans did. They really didn't give much to Sacramento. I mean, for what they got, they got Buddy Hield, they got Tyreke Evans, they got Langston Galloway, and a 2017 first round and second picks. So they did get 2 picks. Buddy Hield is okay. He's gonna be okay. He's gonna be an okay player. Tyreke Evans, okay. Langston Galloway, okay. And so the winner of the trade, the actual trade deadline, was the Mavericks, and that's surprising. But the Mavericks got Nerlens Noel, and they got Nerlens Noel for, look at the actual. Okay, the Mavericks got Nerlens Noel for a protected 2017 pick. So if they don't make the playoffs, which is a pretty good possibility right now, even though they're in the hunt for a playoffs, the 8th seed, I don't see them getting in the playoffs. They get the first round pick that they gave up is protected. So if they win the lottery, if they get in the top 18, they're keeping their pick. So Philly actually, the centerpiece of this trade, because the trade is a protected 17 first round pick, Justin Anderson and Andrew Bogut. The centerpiece of that trade for Philly is Justin Anderson. He can score, he can defend, he's athletic. Andrew Bogut is going to be a bought out, and then you're not getting that pick unless Dallas not only makes the playoffs, but does something in the playoffs. So you're not going to get that pick for next year. And Dallas, if Noel likes the Mavericks, they can just sign him. Okay, so they'll be able to match any offer sheet that he gets, and that automatically gives you a rim protector. That gives you if they have somebody that can play alongside Dirk, because he's a rim protector. He isn't going to need the ball to be effective. He isn't going to need a lot of touches. He doesn't have to score 20 points a game. So Dirk's healthy. You can play alongside Dirk and be comfortable. You have your 2 wings. Dallas also, which is interesting, Dallas also let go of Deron Williams. So, and Deron Williams is more than likely going to end up going to Cleveland or Boston once he clears waivers. So I love that deal. Dallas instantly gets more athletic. Dallas instantly gets younger. I think Noel is only 21 or 22 years old, and they can probably sign him to a long-term deal after this season. So, and they have a bunch of young talent that they really didn't have to give up. They have a bunch of young talent in the guard position that they really didn't have to give up to get him. They just signed that Yogi kid from the D-League a few weeks ago. All their point guards and all their guards are pretty much still intact. And even though Justin Anderson is nice, you can get, for what he does, you can find guys to do what he does. I like what Lou Williams going to Houston. That's a good deal for Corey Brewer. Lou Williams is a catch and shoot guy. He actually fit right into what D'Antoni's trying to do in that offense. He actually did really well against New Orleans Thursday night. So I'm liking that deal a lot. There was a lot of average deals. For example, there was Roy Hibbert going to Denver. Tyler Ennis going to the Rockets. Let me see. Tyler Ennis going to the Lakers from the Rockets. PJ Tucker to the Suns. Just a lot of basic deals. Now, thing that I'm going to talk about for the remainder of this vlog is the Bulls and the Thunder, and how I don't understand what the Bulls are doing. Not because they traded Taj Gibson, because Taj Gibson will be a free agent after this year, but because what are you doing? I don't understand what they're trying to do, and they had an opportunity to do something that they didn't want to do, and from what I listened to from the local media up in Chicago, rather, you had an opportunity to do something and they're scared to do it. And I mentioned it when I was doing the vlogs before. They want to be comfortable. The Bulls want to be comfortable. The Bulls don't want to. They want to be competitive. They want to be comfortable. They don't want to go back to the 2000-2001 season where they were young and they were bad. Instead, now they're old and they're mediocre, which in the NBA is bad because right now they're going to be in the 8th or 7th seed. Right now, they're in the 7th seed now. They're probably going to be in the 8th seed if they even make the playoffs because they got worse. They actively got worse, and they traded the wrong people because if you're going to trade just to make a trade, you traded the wrong person. For them to trade Taj Gibson and Doug McDermott to the Thunder for basically, let me actually open up the article here. For them to trade Taj Gibson and Doug McDermott and a second round pick, and I'm getting second round pick in 2018, and I'm getting to that in a second. For Cameron Payne, Joffrey Lavergue, and Anthony Morrow, I don't know what they're doing. You didn't even swap picks for these people. Okay, I was never a fan of Doug McDermott. I think they got too much for him, and they gave up too much for him, and they drafted too high. They moved up to get him, and they overdrafted to get him, and they gave too much to get him. I think they gave 2 first-round picks to get the 12th spot to get the 12th pick to get him in the first place. This really isn't it, because in Chicago, everybody's like, when you listen to sports radio there, everybody's kind of like, well, they didn't develop him. They didn't develop him. It was a failure to develop him. There were people that were saying that in Creighton, he really wasn't a jump shooter. He was a shooter. He could shoot, but he really wasn't a Kyle Korver type. He could actually score. He can actually put the ball down a little bit. He can actually post up. He posted up smaller players. He was a scorer. The problem with the Bulls stems back from them hiring Fred Hoiberg in the first place. Not necessarily that, but drafting him under Tibbs. McDermott wasn't a defender, and when you're not a defender, and you're a coach under Tibbs, if you don't have the effort to defend, you're not going to get playing time. And Doug McDermott wasn't a good defender, still isn't. So it doesn't matter how skilled you are offensively. If you are a liability defensively, that's a problem. This is the same issue with Nico Mirotic when Tibbs was there. So the first year or so that these two are in the league, they're not developing properly. Then you get Fred Hoiberg. I don't like Fred Hoiberg. Never have. Don't think he's a good coach. Don't think he's a good pro coach. Probably do some good things in college. Although I don't trust him in college because he recruits a certain way, and then when he gets to the turn, they win the regular season. They won the regular season tournament in Iowa State. Then when he gets to the big tournament, he gets punched in the mouth. Like, they get punched in the mouth in the first round. The last memory that I remember of Fred Hoiberg as a coach before he got to the Bulls was getting punched in the mouth in the first round and losing in the first round. And he had a really talented Iowa State squad, and they lost in the first round. Okay? And from what he's trying to see, and now, and this is going to sound ad nauseum if for those of you that listen to these, he's not a good coach, and they don't even let him run the stuff that he wants to run. So you have Nico Mirotic that fits what he actually wants to do: a ball moving, three-point shooting, a ball moving type of offense, similar to what Phoenix is doing. This is kind of like what Fred Hoiberg is experiencing with the Bulls right now. And I'm going to get back to why this is important to the trade. It's kind of like what Jeff Hornacek is experiencing with the Knicks, because they run this weird hybrid triangle/Phoenix stuff sometimes, and it doesn't work. And in Chicago, it's like he doesn't run the stuff that he runs because he came in with veterans, and he came in with a team with a certain identity. They got a lot of those guys out of there now for the second year. And they got Rondo, which analytically, Rondo isn't good analytically. But if you watch the games, him moving to the second unit is actually helping the Bulls, and you can actually see what Hoiberg wants to do. So you got, and I honestly thought they're gonna end up making the playoffs, and I sounded, looking back on it, I sound really stupid making that prediction, but I honestly thought on paper they should have been able to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. When D-Wade fell in their lap, which D-Wade is not going to be here after next season. After this season, he's not. He's gonna. I doubt very seriously he's gonna stay for his second season. There might be they might buy out Rondo, which I don't agree with, but it is what it is. Rondo actually runs that second unit very well. They don't really run what they want to run, so what Fred wants to run. So if Fred Hoiberg wants to run a certain offense, and they're not really running the offense consistently, and Doug McDermott, who really isn't a shooter like Kyle Korver, because that's what they thought he was going to be. They thought he was going to be Kyle Korver. He's really not. He's actually more skilled than that, and then just like a running off a screen shooter, stretch forward big. He's actually more skilled than that, and he can do more stuff, and he's more athletic, and he can actually move around offensively. And I honestly think a lot of Bulls fans better be prepared for Doug McDermott being a lot better in OKC than he would have ever been for a Bull. Does that mean Hall of Famer? No. Does that mean All-Star? No. But you're gonna see him kind of blossom in OKC. This is my personal opinion. Just because of what he's able to do. And now that doesn't mean, does that mean that the Oklahoma City Thunder are actually going to do anything in the playoffs? No. But I just think you're going to see Doug McDermott blossom. And if that happens, just be prepared for, how come Doug couldn't do that with us? For Chicago Bulls fans. Taj was an unrestricted free agent. The trading of Taj Gibson was not the problem. Like, I know people were mad, but he wasn't gonna sign back. He was leaving. All indications are like he was leaving. What happened? Here's the thing with Taj Gibson, and another big trade happened kind of before the trade deadline. Serge Ibaka goes to the Raptors. Now, the Raptors, with Kevin Love being hurt for the rest of the season, the Raptors and the Eastern Conference in general is like they smell blood in the water because, Kevin Love was having a breakout season with the Cavs, since he was a Cav, and he's gone. He's gone for the season. So everybody was like, "Oh, Cleveland's in trouble. We can actually get to the finals now." So Toronto, being the second team in the conference, second seed in the conference, they go and they get Serge Ibaka, basically for first round for Terrence Ross, which I think he's gonna get bought out. I think. No, he's not. He's staying in I'm thinking of somebody else. He's gonna stay in Toronto, I believe, and he's gonna stay in Orlando, I believe, and then they got Orlando. They got that first round pick. Orlando got Toronto's first round pick, so they got to pick out the deal. They wanted Taj Gibson, and they were giving you a pick, which you need because you need young assets. Why are you not taking the pick? Why are you not picking up the phone and taking the pick here? Because Toronto wanted Taj Gibson. You didn't move on that. Okay, you missed out on that. So now, the Jimmy Butler situation. Boston is begging to give you draft picks. Begging. They really want Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler has connections in Boston. So that was on the table. That was on the table last summer for the draft. They didn't bite on it last summer. They didn't bite on the Minnesota stuff last summer. They bit. They didn't bite on this. They were going to trade Jimmy Butler to Boston, but Adrian Wojnarowski from The Vertical says that the reason that it didn't happen is because, and they were offering both Nets picks this year and next year, or I think they have Nets picks, 2 Nets picks this year. I'm not exactly sure. One of those picks is probably going to be in the lottery. If it's by year, if it's 2017 and 2018, both of those picks are probably going to be in the lottery. They were just going to give you straight up for Jimmy Butler draft picks, and Bulls said no. Bulls wanted some established players and established stars so they can build on the fly. If you're going to get rid of Jimmy Butler, in theory, I understand that. I really do, but in practice, Jimmy Butler is not going to win you a championship. We've seen what Jimmy Butler can do on a Jimmy Butler-led team. He's still not as fluid of a scorer as I would like him to be. it's not as painful to watch as it was last year, where it was really painful to watch him try to drop 50 every day. He's a little better. It's a little more fluid now because he's worked on his game now. But he's not going to get you a championship. You're not going to beat LeBron James. There are teams kind of in your division. Milwaukee. I'm a big fan of the Bucks. At some point, Milwaukee's going to figure it out, and you're going to have to deal with the Bucks for the next couple of years. And Jimmy's 26 or 27. Go get younger. Jimmy Butler's not going to win you anything. He's not going to win you anything. You actually got worse by trading Taj Gibson because, and I understand why you did it, because you were going to lose him anyway. But you didn't get better. Cameron Payne, let's go with what they got. Anthony Morrow changed his shot. His shot hasn't been the same. His release has been quicker. His accuracy has gone off considerably. Joffrey Laverne, I cannot pronounce that brother's name. He doesn't rebound. He doesn't block. And Cameron Payne can't shoot. And he doesn't really, and we don't really know what we have in him because he played behind Russell Westbrook. And with the exception of a few dance moves, we don't know what we have. Now, skill-wise, he's a penetrator. He can get to the lane. He's athletic, but we have that already. We have Jerian Grant. We have Isaiah Cannon. Heck, we got Dwayne Wade for the rest of the season. We got him. The only way, and Michael Carter Williams. I like Michael Carter Williams because he can guard multiple positions, but he can't shoot either. He's Jimmy Butler that hasn't figured it, that hasn't had that renaissance that Jimmy has had as far as figuring out how to score and figuring out how to be an offensive player. Michael Carter Williams has skill sets, but I watched him in Philly try to be the dude, and no. So he can't shoot. He can defend. Okay, I can keep him. You have Jerian Grant already. You have Isaiah Cannon already. You have D Wade. You have Rondo, and now you have Cameron Payne. So there's 5 point guards on the roster right now, and none of them can shoot. So you can't put them at the 3 line. None of them can shoot well. You can't put them at the 3 line. And the one shooter that you did get, Anthony Morrow, his stroke is off because he changed his delivery. What are you doing? I don't know what they're doing. You could have easily got a draft pick this year. This draft is loaded. Next year's draft is loaded. They have 2 probable lottery picks in Boston does, and they're begging to give them to you. What are you doing? Now maybe if the Bulls don't make the playoffs, maybe during the trade deadline, not the trade deadline, but maybe on draft night, Gar Forman and John Paxson and Michael Reinsdorf, because they're the brain trust here, maybe they get their head out of their behind and they'll go ahead and trade Jimmy Butler at draft night. Especially if the Bulls don't make the play. If the Bulls don't make the playoffs, if for some reason the Bulls get worse, because they got worse. You let Doug McDermott go. And here's the thing about Doug McDermott. When he does have a good game and when he is confident, the brother can score 30 points a game. I've seen it. He's athletic. He can move around. He's going to get better in OKC. It might not be marginally by a lot, but he's going to get better. So you gave up a lot to get the guy. You put him in a position where you had a defensive-minded coach, the first year. The second year, they're not running a system where he can actually flourish. They're not using him correctly. You traded for him. You traded for him. Taj Gibson can play 2 positions. He's the best rebounder you have. You got worse. Now, I'm going to tell you what this is probably going to end up being. Based on what I saw last night with the Bulls and the Suns game, that was a good game. It really shouldn't been as close as it was through the first 4 quarters. It really shouldn't have had to be hero ball with Jimmy and D Wade for like the overtime. And Jimmy actually, and this is what I'm talking about. For most of that game, Jimmy Butler was struggling really bad, and he didn't really know how to handle the double team well. They bracketed him as soon as he touched the ball. So, and then he broke free sometime in the middle of the fourth quarter to overtime. Him and D Wade snapped off. They won the game. This is what I noticed though. Bobby Portis. Okay, I like Bobby Portis. I think under the right circumstances, he's another one. I think under the right circumstances, and I think under the right circumstances can include Chicago. I think under the right circumstances, he'll be fine because he's long, he's energetic, he can jump out the gym. Okay? He played for the most part of the first half, and then sometime in the middle of the third quarter on, it was Nico. And Nico is another one that I actually like. A lot of people in Chicago don't. I like Nico Mirotic. I think Nico Mirotic could, in the right situation. Matter of fact, this is that's an asset that if I was the Bulls, I would try to trade because I don't think Nico is going to work in Chicago. I like him as a player. There people were saying everybody thinks he's going to be Dirk. Well, okay, Dirk was not very good when he came over first. You know what I'm saying? He developed into the Hall of Famer that he is. Okay? And there was a lot of patience with him first. And he had, we got to remember, him and Steve Nash played together. So when you have a guy like Steve Nash and you have a guy like Michael Finley, where you're not necessarily the dude right away, he was able to grow. He was able to grow into the person that he is now. And he was able to grow up until after Avery got there, because he never really developed the post game until Avery Johnson got there, and he had one. He kind of developed a little one. He was a straight 3-point jump shooter. He was like the original, not the original, but he was one of the classic stretch fours. As we look at him now, there was some times where Dirk had to grow a little bit. So for the people that don't like Nico, he falls under the same category as I mentioned earlier with Doug McDermott. You gotta let him play, and he's gonna, if you're gonna hang on to him, because I honestly think if they were gonna trade Nico, because there was rumors of Nico being on the trade block, I honestly think Dallas would have been the perfect spot, because you have Dirk as like a mentor, and basically Dirk can show him the way, and you know what I'm saying, that would be really, really dope to have Nico and Dirk on the same squad. And Nico either coming off the bench or playing alongside Dirk in some situations. It didn't happen. The Bulls still believe in him. So to me, Nico is going to close. Bobby Portis may get his opportunity. He has to show something in the opportunity he's given, or else this is going to be Nico's spot as a power forward. And I like that idea. I just part of it is they got to figure out what type of offense they want to run. And I don't think Jimmy Butler is the dude that's going to lead you to a championship. I don't. I don't. And for them to be like, okay, we're not going to trade Jimmy Butler, the one asset we have, and just start this thing over again. And you're going to be like, well, we don't really want draft picks. We want players so we can rebuild on the fly. You can't do that, man, unless somebody gets hurt. Because rebuilding on the fly doesn't really work. You know, like, it's going to it looks like it in certain situations, but you gotta kind of Dallas. It kind of looks like it a little bit because of injuries, and then they found some young guys, and then they found some young guys, and some they got some people, they got some B-level or second tier free agents to come here, and they're developing. So that trade makes it look like they're rebuilding on the fly, and the the D League signing of Yogi, that looks like they're rebuilding, but it's like if they don't make the playoffs, then it's not a rebuild. But next year they can be really, really important. They can be really, really good, depending on what they get. And if they sign Nerlens Noel and he stays healthy, that can be real. They can be a little bit of an interesting story. The Bulls, you can't do that. You're not gonna beat anyone with Jimmy Butler. You're just not. You're gonna get you got D Wade, you got Rondo. It's Jimmy's team. Period. I said it during the preview. I said it all season this season. This is Jimmy Butler's team. I've seen what Jimmy Butler can do. I thought it was going to be a lot better than what it actually is. I thought they were going to be, I was excited for D Wade and Rondo to come. For the first 2 weeks, it was awesome because they was actually trying to run what Fred wants to do. And I was seeing, okay, this might be something. It's not going to be enough to beat Cleveland, but this might be, okay, they might be in the top 3 or the top 4 and get in the Western Conference Finals, right? I figured they were going to be 3rd or 2nd. Not necessarily true. They'll be lucky if they make the playoffs this year. If you don't make the playoffs this year, you've seen what Jimmy Butler can do by himself without Rose, where the team is built around him. That's not going to win you a championship. That's not going to get you to beat Cleveland. If you're waiting for LeBron James to get old and not necessarily bad, but old and not awesome, Jimmy Butler is going to be old and not awesome with him. So you might as well get young, and you might as well find another superstar. And the only way to do that is to trade the superstar that you already have that you know is not going to win you anything. But they're worth $4 billion. And they have a full stadium or a full arena every game, every night. You know, everybody's happy. Everybody loves going to games. They're not losing any money. People are mad, but it's usually fans that don't go to games, fans that watch games on TV, and sports radio people. So the product is entertaining. The product is good. You have enough people that's like, Jimmy Butler is awesome. Jimmy Butler is a Jordan brand guy. Jimmy Butler is a national player, and he's an all-star. He's never been on an all-NBA team, but he's an all-star. So they don't. So the glowing sentiment among media, among sports media, and among really smart people, really smart basketball people in Chicago is the Bulls don't have to do anything. They don't. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to have a direction. They don't have to be. They don't have to be a championship contender. They just have to be competitive, and they just have to make playoffs. And if you just have to make playoffs to be comfortable, they're in a perfect state of we're comfortable. And sometimes in sports, you can't be comfortable. Because if you're comfortable in sports, you know what happens? You'll never win a championship. But the Bulls are comfortable. And they're still living off the 6 championships in the 90s. So as long as that happens, situations we're gonna read the articles, we're going to listen to the radio, we're gonna listen to the rumors, because this is gonna happen again in the summer. And just like last summer where Jimmy Butler was going to Boston, Jimmy Butler was going to Minnesota, and all this stuff. Oh, by the way, that Rose to Minnesota thing, that might happen during the draft, but that would have been cool. That would have been cool to see. But at least, they had an idea. So we're gonna hear all this stuff in the summer. We're gonna hear, the rumors of them trading Jimmy and the rumors of them trading whatever other fleeting asset they have, and they're probably not going to do anything because Boston. And this was a perfect time to trade Jimmy Butler to Boston because Boston, with the injury to Kevin Love, thinks that they can do something. Thinks that with the addition of Jimmy Butler, because you lost the best chance to get him, to trade him, because it's not going to happen during the draft. It's not. You lost the perfect time to trade this guy. The perfect time, because Boston really believes wholeheartedly that if they would have had Jimmy Butler, that if they had Jimmy Butler with their existing core, that they might have an opportunity to beat Cleveland, or at least push them to a 7-game series. But it didn't happen because the Bulls are scared, and they don't have to take risks because they're making a bunch of money, and they're making a bunch of money, and they're worth a lot of money independently of this season. So that's it. And I'm just going to watch the rest of the season, and I'm going to be aggravated over the Bulls I'm not going to see the Bulls in Cleveland game because I already know what's going to happen. I'm actually on my way to a concert, Toby Mac concert. And yeah, I'm actually going to watch the Bulls and be frustrated. I'm going to miss this game against Cleveland because I know it's going to happen. D-Wade is going to show up just like he showed up at the last night. D-Wade is going to show up. It's a national TV game. The Bulls are probably going to win that game, or at the very least, they're going to be really, really competitive and Cleveland's going to be better. So, and I'm just going to watch the Bulls march on to mediocrity, get to the playoffs, and then get punched in the mouth in 4 games. And that's just what's going to happen until the summer comes, and then I'll do a vlog about Jimmy Butler being traded and how I think this is a good move. And then they're probably not going to do anything, and then we continue for next season. And probably will be Jimmy Butler and a bunch of B or C level free agents, and then, wow, we'll just do it again. So this is my trade deadline aftermath vlog / Bulls rants because they're stupid. Anyway, Pushing Wild Black out. At some point, I'm going to see Get Out, that movie, and then I'm going to do a movie review on that. I like doing the movie review on I Am Not Your Negro. Go check out my Facebook. Go check out my Facebook, Pushing Wild Black. Go check out my YouTube, Pushing Wild Black channel, the whole channel. I'm on Instagram. So if you're getting this, if you're looking at this on Instagram, and this will be one of those videos that I put on the link to Instagram on, check out I do vlogs like this about sports, about disability issues, and all this stuff. Check it out. Check out my YouTube channel, please. Subscribe. I need numbers because I gotta start making money off of this. Anyway, Pushing Wild Black out. Later.